Hey, how's it going, everyone? BlueRidgeSilverhound here. Hope everyone's doing well. All right, if you're here, you're interested in collecting. You're ready to take it to the next level. How do I know? Because I see all the comments. Hey, I think I have a coin that looks as good, if not better, than the one that you highlighted in your Monday market report. I get that all the time, and that's cool. We're going to talk about, I think I might actually make this kind of a regular thing. So you might probably see something like this 2 or 3 times a week to help folks out. You know, whether I get them through my email or through the consultation service I provide, or just some kind of like feedback coming from the Monday market reports. So one of the big coins from over the weekend that really raised a lot of eyebrows has to be this 1954 Lincoln cent. It's a PCGS Mint State 67 red. It's sold on Great Collections. They actually are one of the bigger auction houses for registry set coins. In case you guys need a little refresher, registry sets are they're pretty much compilations of coins of your favorite series. You know, like there's a Lincoln cent registry, there's a Lincoln Memorial, so you could collect all of the coins from 1959 all the way up to whatever final date of the memorial back design. To kind of put it into perspective, and oftentimes with registry sets, people are looking for the finest graded examples of each date. And what they do is they put it all together. They'll go and they'll buy, all every date that they need. They're going to look for the highest grade. Normally, it's something ridiculous like a Mint State 67 in this case, a 69, a 68. We're talking like the highest known, highest graded examples of each respective date. And generally, they're going to pay an insane amount of money to obtain these coins. And what's even crazy, all right, what's probably the thing that makes the least amount of sense is that this is all pretty much for bragging rights. You're assembling all the coins. PCGS, the grading company, and NGC, they both respectively host these registry, competitions. So you could go on there every time you buy a coin, then you go ahead and fill it out. You take a picture of your coin, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, it's all for bragging rights. It's like earning the crown for the year. And you do get submission vouchers from those grading companies if you're the like the top three registry sets for that respective coin series. So that's kind of how it works. I know it's a little bit of a long explanation on why it even exists, but I'm telling you, there is a market for this. The people that engage in this practice of registry sets, they typically have some of the deepest pockets that you will ever see in the hobby, and they're quite proud of owning a lot of these high-end coins, even coins such as the 54 Lincoln that you see here that at first blush is like, seems to be a very common dated coin. So let's talk, as we kind of talk through a lot of the coins from this point forward, that really raises eyebrows. All right. Of course, there's going to be an explanation, right? So it's going to be a very comprehensive look. Every time I do these videos, you're probably going to get more dialogue than what you need. For example, this particular coin right here, 71,640,050 pieces were made. Now, that seems like a lot, okay? And it is. That's quite a bit. Compared to some of the earlier dates that you see in the Lincoln Cent series that goes all the way back to 1909, it's up there, all right? But we have other coins that are in the hundreds of millions, okay? There are actually other dates surrounding 1954 where, for example, 1953D, over 700 million pieces were produced. It's one of the more common dates in the, I would say, later portion of the wheat cent back series. So that puts the 54 Philadelphia in kind of a rarity of sorts. And if you have less coins to go through on the secondary market, like, raw examples, coins that haven't been graded yet. You're trying to look for the finest graded pieces that you could send to PCGS, and the hope is that you're going to come out ahead with a 67 grade. So we're going to take a look at what it takes to grade one of these. We're going to kind of weigh the prices, the valuation. Where do you find these coins? If you're looking to get into it, that's very important. Some of them are not that easy to find. They're really not. And by and large, it's kind of the reason why that these coins carry a hefty value. So there you go, $16,312 sale on this coin, in which over 70 million of them were made. Okay, it seems quite excessive because it is. I'm not shitting you. It's asinine to think that anyone would spend this kind of money on a coin where so many of them were made. But it's all about perspective, ladies and gentlemen. When it comes to the finest graded pieces, are there not a lot of these that exists in that grade for whatever reason? Maybe these coins circulated quite a bit in spite of the low mintage figure, or the high mintage figure, however you want to put it. It really makes no difference. So, in the 67, that's where you need to be for this, for you to make kind of like, I'm not going to tell you could retire off of this kind of money, because it's going to take a whole lot more zeros for that to happen for a lot of folks. 16 grand is not a lot. And as a matter of fact, that ideally, that's probably like 3 or 4 months worth of salary to a lot of people. So it's not a whole lot where you need that you can retire comfortably. You could take a vacation if you wanted to. That's always nice. So one of the first things I like to do, if I were going to get into the business of looking for raw coins that I could send off to the grading company, and please hear me out, because there's going to be a lot of new information that you guys are not going to be aware of that might make you change your mind, or it might actually incentivize you to actually want to do this. All right, which is part of the fun. The hunt is part of the fun. If you're not having fun, don't do it. All right. When it becomes too zany and wacky, and you get a headache every time you think about doing something like this because you've been doing it for a while and you've been flopping, then don't do it anymore. All right, because you don't want to go sour on numismatics and the hobby. You want this to be fun all the time. So first and foremost, we're going to do a little research on the 1954 Lincoln Cent, okay, in terms of graded examples. And there's no better place to look at, other than the Great Collections Archives, than PCGS.com. So you want to go right to the head of the snake, and that is where we're at right now, PCGS.com. Now, up top, you have some resources that are free to the public. You have a pop report. You have a price guide. I figure in this particular instance, I want to know how many of them are made in 67, right? Is it the finest grade? Aha. Or is it something else? Could it be a 67 plus? So we're in the population report right there. We're going to click United States, because that's the coins that we're going to be looking at. Scroll down a little bit, and then you're going to see Lincoln Cent Wheat Reverse 1909 and 1958. So we're going to click into this, and real simple, we're just going to go all the way to 1954. So you're going to have to scroll down. You're probably going to have to go over a few pages, probably page 4. And maybe. Oh, nope, one more page, because that's 1954 brown. We want full red. In case you guys haven't figured it out, Lincoln Cents are graded by 3 different color tiers. There's brown, red, brown, and full red. Full red examples are the most valuable. All right. So the coin that we saw in Great Collections sold for over $16,000. Okay, so and it's a full red example. 1954 Philadelphia. Philadelphia is, for the most part, are quite challenging because the quality sucked during the 1950s. And that kind of plays into the rarity of, such minted coins from that facility. 1954 red, you go all the way to the right until we get to the final numerical grade where you see the kind of like the last number in that column. You notice that there aren't any 68s in there, so you don't have to worry about that. So there's a number 18 here, which means there are 18 examples graded in a 67. All right, that's a good amount of coins, but we have to again learn that Lincoln Cents are probably the most collected series across the globe. We're seeing collectors not only here in the U.S. of A, but also abroad as well. I've seen dedicated high end Lincoln Cent collectors all over the place, from Europe to China, and all those areas. So no big surprise. You go where the money goes, and American coinage is certainly where it's at. So 18 pieces. We could click right into here if we wanted to get a little bit more information. And you're going to see the mintage there, just like I described to you, 71 million, 640, and some 50 there. There's your coin. That's a 67 there. That's what's sold on Great Collections. Again, it's got a few planchet nicks in there. It's by no means the most perfect coin, but you got to find one that is damn near perfect. Here's the pricing schematic. In addition, it also gives you some more population data, which is always very helpful. In addition, it also gives you realized prices on some of the other coins that have sold in the past. The number that kind of sticks out a little bit is $31,200 on an example in the 67 that sold back in 2019. So, as you can see, the price has dropped precipitously over the course of the last 5 years. And a lot of that has to do with the injection of newly graded pieces coming into the market. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be the demand for it, right? It's like, the moment that we continue to plug more 67, 1954 Lincoln Cents out into the collecting world, it's going to diminish the value of them. The law of diminishing returns. Does that make sense? So you're going to see the prices continue to drop. The more 67s we introduce into the Lincoln Cent registry market. So yeah, an incredibly expensive coin. Okay, but what is even more equally important in this particular graph is the grades before it. What happens if you don't hit that 67? You found a few coins that you want to send to PCGS or NGC. Do I have a safety net here? If I don't hit that 67, I want to at least know that I'm going to be making money, even if my coin grades, a half a point or a full point lower. All right, that's always important because you don't want to lose money doing this, and a lot of people have. So we're at 16K here. This is just basic PCGS price guide. In a 66 plus, which is a zero point 0.5 grade difference lower, it shows a value of 650. But most importantly, look at the prices here of realized sales through some of the big auction houses. And you're going to see that very rarely does any coin sell for what's visually posted or printed. If you're using, say, a price guide like this, it's, I mean, look, $430, 528, 288. It's kind of all over the place. And, it's lower than $650. So by the time you factor in grading submission fees, more than likely you're going to be paying like 30, $35 to send off that coin. You got to take all these costs associated with sending that coin out to a grading company off the top. And you better hope that you at least, at the very least, ladies and gentlemen, grade out as 66. All right, $150 is what it shows there. There are 720 examples that hit at 66, but check out the realized sales. $120. It's not a lot, but it's going to allow you to make a few dollars at the end. All right, even if you flamed out and you only managed to get a 66, which sucks because it's happened to me before quite a bit. So that's the important part. Does my coin have a safety net if I don't hit that top grade? If it doesn't, you probably shouldn't be playing around with that coin or that date. It's just way too risky. And, the interpretation of regular people that don't work at the grading companies and the grading company grading experts, okay, we kind of have this like we're at odds, right? We're always butting heads about grades because we'll say the sky is blue, they'll say it's purple. So there's no there's no kind of like mutual agreement when it comes to the grading because we put things onto a pedestal, they diminish it because they're using a much stricter guideline or so whatever. Because grading companies kind of do protect the top pop. They don't want to. They don't want to necessarily flood certain dates with top grades. It's just it's a protect thing. It's more of a business decision than anything else, right? They want the submissions to continuously come in, and it sucks. I that might be a very tinfoil hattish type thing to say, but it's reality, and that's business. It's not just the grading companies. It's a bunch of other different businesses that are trying to protect the most profitable things at the top, right? So they're willing to do other things to circumvent that. And we have to just learn and accept that is the case. All right, so if you're going to be grading things like this, and this is specifically why I don't grade these top pop grade coins anymore, is that I realize that it's way too risky when there's no safety net and when you're at odds with the grading companies that at the very top they grade stricter than what I think. All right, so please do realize that, and then I'll probably end up saying the same thing for every other video that I do, where I show you how to do the process. All right. Ideally, you don't want to send just one coin. You want to send multiples. All right. You want to just like playing the lottery, right? Someone won the $1.5 billion mega lottery thing. I didn't play because I don't care. I like making my own money. But the more coins that you submit and buy and submit, all right, your better your chances are of getting that 167. Whereas some people just like to submit that one coin, but the cost is so high because you got to pay for shipping, you got to pay for insurance. You know, what if you pay a much larger submission fee because you put a value down of $16,000 on the PCGS form? They're going to hold you to that. They're going to charge you that even if that puppy comes back at 65, and then you're screwed because you have invested $100 to the submission, to sending it out, the shipment, the insurance, blah blah blah. You get the big idea. And usually with submissions, I tend to go in at the base rate, so that way they charge me the base rate for like bulk submissions or economy. And then if it hits a 67, you let them upgrade that one coin. All right. Don't do the other way where you're paying a lot of money, on a coin that you think is worth 16 grand. Just put like $50 in there and let them grade it. If it comes back like, hey, great news, your coin is a 67, but we do have to upgrade the submission tier price for that because now it's a coin that's worth $16,000 instead of $50, then you're going to see paying like $75 for that submission instead of 20. All right. So where do we find these things? It's not like you could go to the bank, rip open some bank rolls and find these things because that's next to impossible. So I figure we'll use eBay because this is going to give you some insight perspective on certain things that you could buy to find these high-end coins. And there are just not a whole lot of them out there. All right, a lot of the original content that used to exist 60, 70 years ago is gone. They've all been purchased, through the system of inheritances and coin shops and dealers and things like that. So the obvious one big choice, and we're gonna go into U.S. coins, see all, is BU rolls. Okay, these are original bank wrap rolls of a singular date. So let's see if we can even find a 1954 Lincoln. BU roll. We'd be lucky if you find that. Um, yeah, I mean, there's 54S. There's one singular coin of 54 in it. It looks horrible. 54S, 54S, 54S. 1954 P. Old original roll, BU uncirculated Lincoln wheat cents, 50 coins. Check that out. I mean, you have to invest $50 to get a BU roll. All right, at the very minimum. Buy it now for $100. That's expensive, right? It sounds expensive. Here's another BU roll right here for with shipping, $50. So it seems to me that $50 is the entrance fee in obtaining a BU roll of 1954 Lincolns. It probably has a very high gray sheet value for retail. You know, yeah, there are just some dates that are a lot more tougher. But for the most part, the BU rolls are typically going to be your number one resource for finding some of these gems. Okay, and sometimes they just don't work out. You know, like this BU roll, it doesn't look that good. Just looking at the end roll, the ender on here, these look rough. All right, so you're really kind of putting your faith into these rolls. And ladies and gentlemen, these rolls have probably been sitting here on eBay for probably a year or two or longer. You know, again, I really don't have a whole lot of faith in these rolls. These things have probably been ridden hard. There might be a few instances where they were cherry picked to death. Here's one for $60. I mean, it's not cheap to look for, fresh, untampered with rolls. They're just non-existent. And you're gonna come across rolls like this where half the coins are mint state brown, which automatically disqualifies them for what you're trying to do. You can't do anything with them as far as grading because mint state brown coins are worthless. They don't sell for a lot of money unless they had some pretty neat ass toning on there. Oftentimes you're not going to find what you need. Here's a 25 count lot right here. Here's a quick little look at what some of these look like. And again, I'm not. There's a lot of like stains and carbon spotting. That top middle one has what looks to be machine roll damage, like it was the ender in a paper roll, because you could see the swirl marks in there. But these coins are straight up garbage for what you're getting. Not even worth considering paying $30 for this thing. Um, so what other alternatives are there? Well, it's tough there because there's not a whole lot of original stuff out there. The old mid sets from 1954, these things are seated in cardboard cutouts, cards, and there's holes on each one of the cards that has their respective coins, and then there's going to be one of each denomination released for that year, and those are generally toned, either for better or worse. So finding gem BU red examples, mid sets definitely not the way to go. Old albums that's been passed down to you, sure, it's possible that you could find a nice gem red, but again, some of those older albums that we've all been passed down to, from like relatives, grandma, grandpa, moms, and dads. Oftentimes the coins are not going to be in that good a shape because those old albums are not archival safe. All right, there's a lot of acidity in the paper that create toning, which makes the coin oxidized, brown, ugly, carbon spots, things like that. So, I mean, now we're kind of seeing with our own two eyes why this coin in a 67 is worth the amount of money as it is. Is that out of the 71 million made, only 18 graded 67? That's all you really need to know. And I'm sure there's been a lot of people that have graded this coin in the hopes and the attempt of receiving a 67 grade because that's such a hell of a payday but we're just not seeing here on the secondary market. And besides, it's eBay. Everything's been rode hard and put away wet on this platform. So it wouldn't be out of the question if some of these coins have been sold at one point and then returned, or someone have bought them from someone else and that buyer went through them. Now they're reselling it, and it's like these are also rants. There's not a lot here to love, and that's what you guys need to know, is that this is a difficult endeavor. If you're trying to hit the big payday and do this, my goodness, folks, you need to dig down deep. You need to use all of your local resources that has never been tapped before to find some of the original stuff. And eBay is not the place to go. You're going to have to look local, because coin shops, they receive stuff like this, just out of the blue. A relative passed away and left me a suitcase full of this stuff, and come to find out it's all gem red early date stuff. So there you go. That's what I wanted to talk about for the 1954 Lincoln cent. Again, a phenomenal sale. It's huge and it's extremely rare, and that's probably a coin in that grade that we see maybe 2 times a year. It's that scarce. So hopefully this video was helpful. Hopefully I didn't talk your ear off enough to where you cut the video off at the 5 minute mark, because some people would have. And that's it. Yeah, that's kind of a hard sell, and kind of a this is a come to life moment here if you're going to get into it. But we'll talk about more coins because they're not all bad. All right, there are other places where you can find some of the other dates. This is just a really tough one, and $16,000 price tag, if you haven't figured it out, is justifiable for what we have here. All right, that's it, guys. Have a great evening. Enjoy the hobby. Enjoy the hobby. And please be safe when it comes to grading. Don't waste your money. All right, see ya.